Eid celebrations are underway world over. Sweden is in the spotlight for allowing protesters to burn the Muslim holy book, the Quran, outside the Swedish capital's main mosque on Wednesday. The demonstrations coincided with the first of the three-day Eid celebrations. Now, according to reports, a man tore up and burnt a Quran outside Stockholm's central mosque as a crowd gathered to watch. The police authorities later charged the man with agitation against an ethnic or national group. This after they had already granted permission to allow demonstrations outside this very mosque. Now, the Swedish police had earlier given the go-ahead to the contentious protests after the court overturned a ban saying it infringed on people's freedom of speech. World leaders have reacted to and condemned the incident. The Russian President Vladimir Putin has rebuked the West for disrespecting people's religious feelings. His comments came to light during a visit to the Juma Mosque in the Russian city of Derbent.
It is sacred for Muslims and it must be, and it is sacred for other confessions. We know that in other countries they act differently and don't respect the religious feeling of people. They also say it's not a crime. In our country, it is a crime.
Now, Turkey has also reacted strongly to the incident, and Foreign Minister has also strongly condemned the incident and called it unacceptable to allow anti-Islam protests in the name of freedom of expression, as well as Iraq, that has also denounced the move, calling it racist. The government also reiterated that these acts actually go against the principles of freedom of expression. And according to the Moroccan Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the country has recalled its ambassador to Sweden indefinitely. The incident can complicate matters for Sweden's already delicate diplomatic relations with Turkey. It could also hurt the former's bid for NATO's membership before the bloc summit in July. You may recall that Turkey has been a roadblock in Sweden's formal induction into the NATO alliance. A NATO member itself, Ankara holds Stockholm accountable for sheltering Kurdish militants allegedly responsible for the 2016 coup. But for more on this, we are now being joined by John Bevere from Helsinki in Finland. And John, thanks very much for talking to us this evening. What more do we know about the protests? Have things settled or escalated since then? And of course, this has also put Sweden in serious jeopardy as far as the NATO membership is concerned.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So as you said, there were two men involved in this protest. The man who applied for permission to carry out the burning, he is a 30-year-old Iraqi refugee who has settled in Sweden. Now, he personally wants the Quran to be banned. But in terms of what he's allowed to do in Sweden, Sweden has very strict laws protecting people's freedom of speech and freedom of expression. So he was granted permission to carry out this protest at this highly sensitive time, of course, in terms of the religious day that it was carried out on. He apparently tore pages from the book, wiped them on his shoe, set fire to some of them, placed a slice of bacon on the book as well, all deeply offensive. Of course, this raises lots of issues about taste and decency, about tolerance, about whether this was something that should be allowed to happen. But Sweden has long protected people's rights to protest, their rights to freedom of speech. But as you say, this now could have implications for Sweden's NATO membership. It was already looking rocky, wasn't it? No love lost between Ankara and Stockholm. So I think this will just make matters worse in terms of whether they will be allowed to join before the major NATO summit taking place in Lithuania next month. It's now widely expected that Sweden won't be able to join before then. Finland, where I am now, is the last NATO country to join. It had been hoped that Sweden and Finland would join at the same time, but Sweden's application is being held up, and issues like this and this burning is certainly not going to help matters and is not going to help Sweden's case in terms of joining NATO.
Yes, John, definitely that. But given how important it was for Sweden to actually join the NATO alliance and all the protests that have followed this Quran burning, what steps is the government taking in terms of any sort of statement, official comment, to assuage concerns?
So, in terms of an official comment, I can read what the Swedish Prime Minister had to say. He quite simply said it's legal but not appropriate. Those were his words when he was questioned about it. Certainly in law at the moment, what was done doesn't appear to be illegal. And like you said, there have been various overturnings when the police have stopped people from being able to do similar things in the past. They've then been overturned by the courts, protecting people's freedom of expression. So again, no matter what you might think about this, certainly under
Right, John Bevere there joining
us. You are going to have people who will keep doing this.
Right, John, thanks very much indeed for joining us with the very latest of what's happening in Sweden and what are the implications of this on its NATO membership. Thanks for that.